Hi and welcome to this episode of Notes on Vulnerability. My name's Alex and I'm a resilience coach. My guest on this episode is Donna McConnell, also known as the Iron Empress. And this is an episode for you if you have felt like you are stuck in limiting beliefs about what's possible for you when you get older, especially when it comes to health and fitness. Donna is a triathlete who became a triathlete in her 50s. She's so much more than that as well, and we will cover that in the episode. She describes herself as a thick-thighed menopausal cyclist, and her no-shame, authenticity-fueled attitude to sport, to fitness, and to life in general is going to help you review what you believe is possible for you as you get older. This episode is about rewriting the script in midlife. So let's dive in. So Donna, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. I don't know why I said welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Alex.
So you have a real authenticity and freedom that comes, like a freedom from shame that comes off your post on social media. Is that something that you've always had, or is that something you've really had to work towards and build up?
I think it's something that in part I always had, but I think as you get older, you can name it and you can understand what it is. And there's definitely a freedom that comes with aging. I think I'm somebody that's never really been embarrassed to be themselves and to speak my truth. As I've got older, I realize that people do feel shame about being seen, doing things, failing at things, being bad at things, especially in the space that I'm in with cycling and endurance sport. In social media, within that world, there's a lot of it centers around performance and being good at it, being fast, being the strongest. But I come into it at a point where I was older anyway. I'm in my 50s. And I didn't want to make that the narrative for myself as somebody that's just getting into it. So I definitely spoke more about being somebody who was new to the sport and how difficult I found it, and just tried to create that story around myself so that it would inspire other women to give it a go. Because I started from the ground, in terms of building towards doing something like an Ironman triathlon.
So, because you started doing that in your 50s, right? This wasn't like a lifelong, although I think you've always been a cyclist.
I've always been a cyclist in terms of I've always had bikes. I've always ridden in London. I commuted, but at the point where I started doing triathlon, I mean, I'd only ridden in London. And when I started training for Ironman, I'd never ridden out of London. And most of the people that I cycle with now, and when I cycle with my club, we go out of London every weekend. It's 100 kilometers pretty much on a Sunday ride. But I didn't do that until I was 50, 51.
So that, for a lot of people, I think the perception is that when you get past kind of 40, 45 as a woman, this is where you're going,
Yeah.
and like having ambitions at that point, having big goals, especially goals that are physical, is almost a bit like laughable or just impossible. So like coming across someone who is not only like had the audacity to set those goals, but actually follow through on it all, I think is really inspirational. So what led you to that?
I think it literally was turning 50 and knowing that you don't know when your time's up. So you have to treat every day like it's special. And I just felt like I got to a point in my life where if there was things that I wanted to do, I couldn't put them off anymore.
Yeah.
And I'd done my first triathlon when I was 46, and it was a sprint one. It's like a short event. But it felt very, very, it felt really good. Like I felt inspired after I crossed the finish line. Like the feeling just was really, really good. And when I got to 50, I just felt like if there was things that I wanted to do, I needed to do it. And I was always somebody that kept fit on and off throughout my life. I'd had my daughter when I was 24, but fitness was always like a way to lose weight, to, get the body that I wanted. And after I'd had my daughter, I had weight on from, pregnancy. So I went to the gym and I started working out quite a lot. But I just found that I really enjoyed it and it made me feel good. It helped my mental health. I was also studying for a degree after I had my daughter. So it was kind of like the thing that kept me sane. And it was a little thing to do for myself. So when I got to the point of feeling fit and knowing what that felt like, I think I started working and lost fitness. So then I wanted to go, you always want to get the fitness back because you know how good it feels. It wasn't so much about the body, knowing that you could go and run like for an hour or you could lift weights and just knowing how that felt. I always tried to stay fit throughout my life. So I had a really stressful job in my late 30s, 40s. I was a showbiz editor and I did that for like 8 years. And, you know, fitness wasn't top of the chart in terms of what I was doing. But I got to a point where I was like, I need to do this for my sanity. So I just started working out again. And I found this boxing gym near me where I could do a class at 7 o'clock after I'd finished work. So I started going there again and I started getting fit again. So by this point, I'm in my like mid 40s. So I regained my fitness and then a friend asked me if I wanted to do a Tough Mudder obstacle race. So a group of us just started training together. Didn't know all the people, but I knew some of them. And we did that. After that, I thought, oh, I want to do another triathlon. So I did another sprint triathlon. So it was just, for me, it was just all in the pursuit of staying active and staying fit. The other reason that I wanted to make a point of staying fit as I got older was that I saw my dad was in poor health from his 50s. He'd been a heavy smoker and he had a bad stroke in his early 50s that he never fully recovered from, but he was still mobile and he could get around. But then as he aged, and he was diabetic, and then as he aged, you know, the toll, the combination of medication and just poor mobility really took its toll on him. And I saw how he struggled a lot mentally because he couldn't get around, because he couldn't be as independent as he was before. So that turned on a light bulb in my mind that I have to stay active. I have to stay mobile. Yeah. It doesn't mean you need to go and do like an Ironman, but I just have to stay mobile. And for me, discovering these events in my sort of mid 40s sort of set off a light in my head. Oh, this is a way for me to stay active and it's enjoyable, because when you do these events, obviously you have to keep your fitness in a certain place and you have to stay active, and it just gives you a bit more motivation for moving. And this is what I always say to people, like from my experience of doing these events, is as much the training and just enjoying that as it is completing it. Completing it is the icing on the cake. But for me, I just enjoy the process, you know, getting ready for them, trying to stick to your training plan and trying to just do things to support your body that are going to get maybe, you know, 1% more out of yourself.
Well, we were talking earlier about how your body really changes in perimenopause and menopause, and things that were easy are not. So have you coped with the impact of this kind of high level of training?
I thought I was coping, and I was up until maybe like 2 years ago when I started training for my second Ironman. And I just noticed that my recovery wasn't as good as before. I was needing like 2 days in between sessions. I was gaining weight. I was having really bad joint pain, and I just didn't feel as good. So I think up until that point, I hadn't really seriously looked into the whole perimenopause and menopause management. And then after I DNF, as in I didn't finish the race, I didn't finish the swim. After I finished that race, I was like, okay, I need to understand what's going on with my body a lot more. I think at that point I was 54, I think. I need to understand what's going on with my body a lot better, do some reading, and just go back to ground zero. And that's what I did. So I got that Dr. Stacey Sims book, Next Level, which is for midlife athletes, but I think works for anybody really. And started implementing some of the things she said in that, making sure I got a big chunk of protein, strength training, more low intensity workouts. I did a lot of walking. Even when it came to cycling, I just did shorter rides. I did more chill rides for a bit. I just really backed off the intensity for a while and then started a slow build once I started to feel like my energy was in a better place, and it's been a lot better. So that was like 2 years ago. Since then, like, my body's sort of gone back to a better place. I feel like really good within myself. I feel stronger. Taken on, last year I did the marathon. I did a T100 triathlon. I rode in South Africa 10 days after the marathon, like really just felt back to a good level of strength.
That's really fucking fit to be able to do that.
Yeah, it was
so
good.
Did you find a solution for the joint pain?
Lifting heavy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Because it strengthened. Well, I don't know if that alone helps with the joint pain, but I was having the pain in my knee, and I went to see a physio, and she suggested like I do more single leg exercises, lifting heavy. I think the joint pain also is related to inflammation, so then that comes around to your diet. So I just try to eat more vegetables, more fiber. I don't sort of believe in clean eating, but I do believe in eating for health and for repairing your body. And you need to pick the foods that are going to help your body repair itself, not degrade itself further. But if you do eat a lot of vegetables and fruit and, nutrient dense foods, that's what I really try to concentrate on. A lot of water. I don't really drink much anymore, because I'm always having to get up early anyway. But things like drinking a lot of alcohol aren't really going to work.
Apparently that's the one big thing in like perimenopause, which is going to knock you flat.
Yeah, I mean, I can't drink wine, but I can drink alcohol, but I just don't really...
Don't need it.
Don't need it, yeah. I might have a sip of tequila now and then. I'll just have that. And, I think it's individual to everybody though, isn't it? I've never really been like a big dairy person because my daughter had eczema and I'm slightly lactose intolerant. So I think also just things like that maybe don't help. But it's very individual thing.
Yeah, definitely. So what about the mindset side of it? Like, how do you talk to yourself in the hard moments?
That's something I had to learn to do. Just like with training your body, I had to learn to train my mind to not berate myself when I wasn't maybe as strong or as fast. Cycling is one of those things where, everybody wants to be strong, everybody wants to be fast, but for some people it can take longer. I'm considered a heavier rider. I don't weigh 60 kilos. So when I'm going uphill, initially when I first started riding, I struggled a lot. And then I just realized, I always try to tell myself, this is something you're learning to do. When you don't get it the first time, it's okay. You're learning how to do this. And I got help from other people, coaches in clubs that I rode with. They give you help on techniques. It's not always about your body. It's not always about the fact that, oh, you're too heavy or you're too big or you're too old. Sometimes it's just you're not using the gears properly. You haven't got proper technique. Maybe you're not leaning forward enough, or you're not using your glute muscles to really push those pedals. Yeah, I think sometimes as women, our natural tendency can be to just sort of beat ourselves up if we can't do something. But I had to train myself to talk to myself nicely. And that's what I do when I'm on the hill. If it's hard or whatever, I'll just sort of take a break, look around, appreciate what I'm doing, appreciate what my body's helped me to do. And, you know, in moments, if it gets too hard, it's too hard, and you have to just stop and just go again the next time. Just because you stop once, it doesn't mean that you can't go again. And another thing I did when I was doing the Ironman is that I listened to podcasts about resilience. I listened to affirmations in the morning. I just try to cram my mind with positive things so that if a negative thought did come up, I would have a positive thought to counter it. They say that resilience is the fourth discipline for Ironman, but I think it's something that you have to train as well.
I think like resilience is a daily practice. Like no one's born resilient.
Yeah.
So.
Resilience isn't about avoiding stress. It's about meeting it with strength. This adaptogenic trio is called our chill mix for a reason. Our award-winning calm and collected formula is a favourite among people with busy, anxious brains. I have combined lion's mane, ashwagandha and holy basil with sea greens to ease your racing mind and calm a jittery body. Consistency is key when it comes to adaptogens, so make calm and collected part of your evening ritual for calm, resilience and rest.
One of your posts, I think the other day, was about being a thick-thighed midlife athlete and just like totally kind of embracing it, which is going to open the door to other people then who maybe feel like they don't fit like the classic skinny white man model of a cyclist. So have you found that people have kind of approached you and told you that the visibility is helping them?
Yeah, definitely. I do get a lot of support from women for my posts, and that post did really, really well. I just think what I noticed as somebody who's done social media probably for about 10 years now is that the visibility for older women is just not there. And like, I'm not the first older woman that's come along and has been doing triathlon well into her 50s. There are loads of them. You know, there are loads of them. They're super strong. They're super fast. You know, they're giving women 20 years younger a run for their money. They just don't do social media. They just don't talk about it. And because I came to road cycling in terms of the way I do it now, later, and I loved it, I just thought, I need to speak about this. I need to share this information because I felt like it had kind of been hidden from me. Even as somebody that had cycled since I was a teenager, pretty much, I'd never seen information about clubs or anything. Because I'm somebody that worked in journalism for like 20 years, and when social media started to become a thing, like in the sort of mid 2000s, we were all reluctant to use it. But then I realized that celebrities were breaking their own stories, so we had to. So I've always had to sort of embrace it for work. And then also I'm into sort of tech anyway. So when a new app came along, I'd always want to try and understand it, try and use it, and try and see how it functions. And with Instagram, I didn't like being on camera. I didn't like speaking to the camera, but I just felt like this was something I needed to get past. So that's why I just started.
You do a good line in like when you're cycling.
Yeah.
But how do you not fall off?
I mean, I've always been able to ride one-handed, so.
How do you deal with the Allens? I saw Alan recently. How do you deal with all of that? I
mean, I just block and delete, or I give them something back, you know. I'm Aries, so I'm argumentative by nature. So I might give them a bit of their own medicine. To be honest, I don't get many of them, and I don't know why a man that I don't know thinks that I'll be bothered by anything that he says about my body. It's like, you mean nothing to me. Like you can't tell me anything about my body that's going to make me feel bad.
It's such a weird, entitled kind of, I'm the authority kind of approach.
You get that a lot in cycling. There's a lot of body shaming in cycling. And it happens, obviously women get the brunt of it, but it happens to men as well. They'll just openly like critique each other's, physiques, saying, oh, putting on a bit of timber, or, assuming someone can't climb because they're bigger, they can't ride uphill. People have a lot of eating disorders in cycling world because of it, because of this historic insistence that you need to be as small as possible to be a good cyclist. But obviously now people are starting to understand a bit better that it's not about how small you are, it's about how much power you can produce. And some people can't produce good power when they're smaller than their body wants to be, because the body will tell you, the body will feed back the data. So there's been, within cycling, there's one pro cyclist, a guy who deliberately put on weight because he just couldn't maintain the lower weight and he didn't feel good. And I think he was close to eating disorder, and he's done really, really well in recent years. And same for other women as well, because women were like losing their periods and stuff like that. But I don't really let it faze me, I think sport should be for everybody. It's not even sport. It's like these are hobbies. They should be for everybody. You shouldn't be made to feel like you can't come into this space because you don't look a certain way. That's ridiculous. Everybody has their own personal goals. People might want to lose weight, but should they then hide their bodies away until they can spring out at 60 kilos? That is ridiculous. People should just have manners. It's just basic manners, isn't it? You don't meet somebody you don't know and say, oh, you're fat for a cyclist. Who does that?
Yeah, no, you would never say that.
You would never. It's not polite, is it?
It's not relevant either, though.
Yeah, exactly. And it's none of your business. But as we know, women's bodies have always been subject to scrutiny, and it's always basically, you can't win though. You can be a slim woman and then someone's gonna critique you saying, oh, she loves herself.
Yeah, there's nothing, you just can't get it right.
No.
But I think, like, especially in midlife, when your body just suddenly just changes.
Yeah.
And the lack of estrogen, you just develop like a weird shape that
Yeah.
not weird, but a different shape that you didn't have before.
No, totally. I had a big tire, and especially after, because I did this event where I DNF'd in the October of 2023, I think it was. So then I went through winter, not being able to train that much because I had a really bad knee. The weight came on. I had this tire, and then when I came out in spring and had to put the cycling clothes on, I had, my shape was, different. It was different, and I did feel embarrassed, and I think I wrote about it at the time, but it did feel embarrassing because obviously you can't hide in those cycling clothes, but at the same time, I have to be good with myself, and I had to tell myself, like, it's not embarrassing to be going through changes, is it?
I think there is an element of kind of like, you suddenly realize that it's just a body.
Yeah.
It's always just been a body.
Yeah.
And like, maybe you stop giving a fuck about attention and validation,
Yeah.
if you ever did.
Yeah.
But at that point, there is like an opportunity for more self-acceptance that comes from it. But it's painful to have
hard.
your body change like that.
It's hard and it's painful, and definitely I'm sure everybody can't deal with it in the same way. So I definitely did feel like, oh God, yeah. It was tough. But, I just gave myself grace. And like you said, I don't look for validation from anyone, especially I don't look for male validation. I'm not concerned about men finding me sexy. I don't think I ever have been, to be honest. You look at yourself and you either appreciate yourself or you don't. I've always appreciated myself. I've always thought, I was attractive. I look good in my clothes because I choose the clothes. So I'm not going to buy clothes that I don't look good in or I don't feel good in.
I used to do that. Have you buying the jeans that you should look good in and then trying to lose weight to get into the jeans? Have you never?
I think we've all done that.
Okay, it's not just
yeah, we've all done that. I've bought clothes that were too, a size too small for me. But at the same time, I've never sort of hated myself, no matter what size I am. And yeah, you know, we have to do a lot of heavy lifting for ourselves.
But yeah, I think the liberation of just being like, yeah, so what? It's my body and I'm going to enjoy
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because also I think like when you get to kind of 40s, 50s, the end is inside. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to waste your life.
Yeah,
You don't want to waste your body while it's still
exactly.
functioning and all the rest of it. So
Exactly.
yeah, there's an element of that.
I think I definitely just started to look, just for my own mental well-being, I started to focus more on what can I do with my body the size it is now. I haven't been a size 10 or 12 for a very long time. I'm like, what can I do with my body? And you know what? I've done a lot.
You really have.
I've
And
done
I
a
think
lot.
there aren't that many women out there kind of representing this ascending in a way, like this kind of increasing fitness
Yeah.
rather than declining fitness.
Yeah. I think it's a definitely we're setting a new standard. And that's no disrespect to the women who've been doing it a long time. But in terms of making it more visible and making it a norm, you know, for women. And it's not to say you have to age and start, you know, being a superhero or whatever, but it's just this norm of you're not decrepit when you get to 50.
Yeah.
You don't have to be decrepit even at 60, even at 70. What you need to do is keep your body mobile. You need to keep your body strong. Why would I get to 50 and just sit down? I've been active my whole life. But I think it is a good thing that women can see that you can get more active.
Yeah.
And I think what the Ironman showed me was that there were reserves within myself to do really tough things that I had failed to access for a long time. So I always say to women that they should do an Ironman. I think we should be
I really
doing
wanna
one.
do one.
Yes, you should do it. You should do it. I think we should be doing them when we're like 25 because it will just show you, wow, you're made of amazing stuff. And I'm just a regular, ordinary woman. Like I said, I'm not fast. I'm not the fastest. And I did it. I got round. You know, I did it across that finish line. And it just showed me that so many women are capable of doing it.
I think we limit ourselves, don't we?
We do. We do.
Especially as you get older. But I think also there just isn't enough research on what happens to women's bodies and the potential we have rather than just the decline.
Yeah.
But also the visibility is so important.
I think for a long time, those kind of activities and sports just were not promoted to women.
Wasn't it like in the 20s, a woman tried to run
Yeah.
the New York Marathon and was dragged out of it?
Catherine Fitzer. Yeah, she was the first woman to try and run the New York Marathon. But yeah, she did it.
It wasn't the 20s, was it?
No, it
because
was
she was
the
in shorts, so it must have been like the 50s, maybe?
60s.
Yeah.
Or 70s.
God, that is not that long ago.
No, not that long ago. Because they said that women weren't capable, our
Yeah.
bodies weren't capable. And I think all I've been seeing over the last 5 years is just how capable women's bodies are.
I don't know if you've seen the kind of tests of speed and endurance. I think women are faster over longer distances.
Yeah.
So we're strong we're built for
endurance.
Yeah.
We're definitely built for endurance.
Yeah.
But also built for speed as well. Like if you see some of these pro women cyclists, they're insane. They're so strong. Yeah, and some of them are little, but the competitive spirit that they have, the speed that they're going at, the way they climb those mountains, and they're getting better year on year. They're getting faster year on year because they're having better access to training. They're getting better support than they were 5 years ago. And a lot of them were pros with full-time jobs as well. Whereas now they're actually being paid to be pros so they can do it full-time. Not everyone, but a small proportion. But we're just so much stronger than we know. And that's a big part of my social media as well. It's just that acknowledging the confidence gap. I'm only one voice though, but a lot more women are doing social media in a way to encourage other women to get involved. But the confidence gap, I think, is something that we're socialized into
Yeah.
but it's also something that we hold in our minds. I mean, as confident as I am, I'm sure there's lots of things I've taught myself out of, just because there is that part of me, like a lot of women who thinks, oh, maybe I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, that's the big one, isn't it? I'm
Yeah,
not ready.
I need to wait until I do this, or
Till I feel confident.
yeah.
But it doesn't work like that.
No. And I think that's one thing that Ironman showed me, is that just start doing it and just work towards it. Just take the steps. And, I was inspired by other women to do it. And I think if I hadn't seen these women doing it, they're a group called 10 Iron Women, and I saw them on social media. Up until then, I don't think I'd ever seen, I think I'd seen some Ironman stuff on YouTube, but I'd never seen a group of, British women training or doing anything for Ironman. And I watched their journey from the beginning to the end, and that gave me the push.
So,
Yeah.
So if anyone has got this kind of limiting midlife mindset, like what would you recommend for like flipping the scripts on that?
I would recommend finding a sport, a hobby, a fitness activity that you enjoy. Start there. For me, enjoyment always has to be at the center of it, because it's something, obviously you can move between different hobbies and activities, but I don't do things that I don't enjoy. So when I was doing the boxing workouts, I really enjoyed those. So that made me stick with it. If you don't find something that you enjoy, you won't stick with it. Don't run if you think, I hate running, because you're not going to stick with it. It's something that you need to be doing at least 3 times a week. And then once you find the hobby, then you start to add the other things around it to support that hobby. Like, I cycle, but I also gym, because that helps me with the cycling, but also it helps me as a woman to keep my body strong. And I do long walks, because, again, that's good low intensity training. I do mobility work, maybe a little bit of yoga, but, you just try to build your fitness practice. So my thing is, everybody should be active, and you just got to try something until you find that thing that you want to keep doing.
The joy.
Yeah, find the joy in it.
Yeah.
And just always remember that you're learning to do this thing. So even if you're bad at it in the beginning, it's okay, because you're learning to do it.
Yeah, owning that is so important, isn't it? When everyone's trying to be the best and an expert, just be a beginner.
And everybody feels intimidated in the beginning. Everybody does. No, it doesn't matter how they look now, or if you turn up and you're just in a t-shirt and, your old leggings and the trainers that are at the back of your wardrobe, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. The important thing is that you turn up.
So the one thing I always ask people at the end of this is, what is your one note on vulnerability? So like the one thing you'd like people to take away from this chat.
Don't be afraid to be a beginner. Be confident in being a beginner.
Yeah.
And just take that step.
That's a good one. So if you would like to find out more about Donna, she is the Iron Empress. Is it the Iron Empress on Instagram, or Iron Empress?
The Iron Empress.
Why did you pick that name?
My friend actually gave it to me.
Okay.
So my friend Tokes, who's the chair of a charity called Black Unity Bike Ride, when I was training for Ironman, he dubbed me the Iron Empress. And then when I completed the Ironman, I thought, okay, I'll make that my Instagram name.
That's an amazing Instagram name.
Yeah.
So that's where people can find you. Well, thank you so much. That's been such an interesting
Thank you.
chat.